right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A hotly contested race for mayor is heating up even more.
I'm just really honored and excited to have the endorsement.
Tonight, the incumbent responds after losing a key endorsement.
As we start off the week warm and dry, my focus is already on this system that's arriving by Friday. The impacts that will be felt as we've already issued our next weather impact alert day.
Our top story, a mother killed in a 3-car crash remembered.
It was emotionally overwhelming.
The touching tribute showing how she touched so many lives.
Well, good evening. I'm Sydney Stallworth. I'm in for Mike Bush, who's off tonight. Continuing our coverage of our top story, just hours ago, a massive crowd showed up for a balloon release outside a North County beauty salon where the beloved makeup artists work. New at 10 o'clock, our Annie Krall spoke with family and friends left devastated, but feeling blessed by the outpouring of support.
A sea of orange outside B Luxury Barber and Beauty for Sunday's balloon release in tribute to Candace Sherelle Swearingen's favorite color, her older sister, Antoinette Davis, not necessarily surprised by the hundreds gathered in Jennings.
I was, but I wasn't. People did exactly what they said they would do.
All of this after last Saturday night's 3-car crash on North Broadway near Calvary in North City, where St. Louis Metro Police say a driver was speeding in the wrong direction. Davis now remembering why the successful makeup artist was so beloved.
Because she showed love. That's the only explanation for this, you know what I mean? Like, this is a reflection of what Candace did while she was here.
Also in attendance at Sunday's balloon release was Candace's 5-month-old nephew, her 10-year-old daughter Bella, and her 13-year-old son TJ. The family telling me they're beyond grateful to be surrounded by so many loving faces in the aftermath of the tragedy.
You don't get this kind of turnout. You don't get this kind of love for someone who didn't show this type of love. Like, this is places that she went, you know, places that she went to eat different. Like, this is just everything, everybody that she left the impact on. It's a true reflection of that.
Both of Candace's children and her nephew, along with one of the children's friends, were all in Candace's Jeep when they were hit. Thankfully, the kids have recovered physically from any injuries. Candace's twin sister Kayla is left potentially needing surgery on her ankle and a cast on her hand. She was driving in a separate car behind Candace and was also hit. Now loved ones are left with many questions.
What's going on? Where are we at? Were there any wrongdoings? Which I believe there were, because this was a bad accident, so something had to happen.
As police continue the investigation, Candace's beauty community is not done honoring her memory.
She actually had planned to do a appreciation day for the women, just to do free makeup for a day. She had that planned for April, but unfortunately, you know, so we might still plan on doing something that particular day.
Annie Krall, 5 on Your Side.
Now, police do tell our newsroom the person who was driving the Mazda that crashed into Candace and Kayla's cars was taken to the hospital by an unknown person. So far, nobody has been charged in connection to this crash, but there is an online fundraiser to help out Candace's children. You can find a link to it in the As Seen on TV section of our website. That's KSDK.com. All right, at 10:04 tonight, warmer temperatures are on the way this week. Let's get on over to meteorologist Gary Frank with the weather impact forecast. Hey, Gary, it might not be all sunshine, right?
Yeah, I think for the most part, for the first part of the week, we're in really good shape. It's the second part of the week as we continue to monitor our next storm chance, and that's what happens in March, right? Let's get you out the door right now or start off the door tomorrow. I mean, you're in pretty good shape. Our current temperatures, 51 at Pittsfield, but, you know, we're going to some spots in the valley, 39 already at Chesterfield, 44 in Salem, 36 in Mount Vernon. I think you'll see a lot of this where in the city it's a little bit warmer, but outside of the city you'll probably start off with maybe a little frost tomorrow morning. Not out of the question, very, very brief. You'll see clouds have exited. We have a northerly flow with a few clouds, and for the most part that's keeping us dry aloft. You'll see that even as our wind is out of the west-southwest at 3 miles an hour. It's dry. Our dew point at 23. If that number is closer to the temperature, then we're more saturated. So like I said, the frost is going to be very brief if it happens. And for tomorrow, you're going to warm up the low to mid 70s and a light breeze. And you're talking about mid 70s, this much above average in March with light wind. That doesn't happen often. But of course, we're already talking about severe weather potential. And this one's, I think, going to impact us a little bit more. This is our first weather impact alert day as late as 6 o'clock on Friday. I'm going to time out some of the details and what we're looking at as far as preparations down the road for the rest of the week.
All right, thanks, Gary. Speaking of planning for the rest of the week, just into our newsroom hours ago, the Hillsborough R3 school district did announce school's canceled tomorrow. District officials are saying a water main break in town means there's a lack of water pressure on campus, so no class, but they do want to remind students and parents this is not a remote learning day. No word yet on the plan for the rest of the week. Also developing tonight, police are searching for a man who robbed a bank in South City. It happened yesterday morning at the Commerce Bank near Chippewa and Tam Avenue. And police are saying the man came in wearing a gray jacket and jeans and handed the teller a note saying to give over the money. The teller did hand over that cash, but if you know anything about this robbery, you're asked to call the police or call Crime Stoppers. We have the number on your screen. It's 866-371-TIPS. Now to another one of our top stories tonight, a new twist in the race for St. Louis mayor. With just 30 days to go into the municipal election, Mayor Tashara Jones is firing back tonight after the city's top Democrats voted to endorse her challenger, Alderwoman Kara Spencer. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski joins us in studio tonight. And Laura, you're hearing from both campaigns.
The St. Louis Democratic Central Committee has historically backed the incumbent. Members say they waited until after the primary to make this announcement. Kara Spencer tells me this is a sign of collaboration, and Mayor Jones' statement says the endorsement doesn't reflect what's best for the city. Out of 26 St. Louis Democratic Central Committee members, only 9 voted to endorse incumbent Mayor Tashara Jones, leaving the majority to Alderwoman and mayoral candidate Kara Spencer.
I just think that speaks to Alderwoman Spencer and the effort she's made to unite us as a city. Alderwoman Spencer was able to win from where I'm at in the farthest south ward all the way into the farthest north ward, and the votes of committee people in between.
Spencer says she's excited to receive the endorsement just days after getting tremendous support from St. Louisans during the primary election, winning 68% of the approval vote, more than double that of Jones's totals.
You know, this was just such a show of elected Democratic leaders across the city of St. Louis, really willing to work together for change in the city of St. Louis. And I'm just really honored and excited to have the endorsement of such a wide swath of elected Democratic leaders in the city.
Mayor Tashara Jones' campaign said in a statement Sunday she was disappointed but not surprised, adding, quote, "This is an attempt by their organization to create relevance and power for themselves. It is not one that reflects the decades of service that the mayor has offered to our local, state, and national Democratic Party, and certainly not one which reflects what is best for the future of our city." Our cameras caught up with Mayor Jones about an hour after the statement was released, but she declined to talk on camera about the subject. The statement goes on to say the last thing that our city needs is an untested and inexperienced executive with a history of avoiding hard conversations and quitting when the going gets tough. Spencer called Jones' response unfortunate and wants to remain positive.
We want to be constructive in the final 4-week stretch here so that we can work together, to pull St. Louis out of a pretty significant decline and put us on the path for growth. I feel like this is the time for our city, for our broader community, and we can only do that working together.
This is the second time the pair has faced off in the race for mayor. The municipal election is April 8th.
All right, thanks so much for that update, Laura. Both mayoral candidates will square off right here in the 5 on Your Side studio on March 18th, and that'll be airing live at 7 p.m. right here on Channel 5. You can watch for free on our 5+ streaming app. It is 10:09 tonight, and here's your reminder, as if you could forget. We are just days away from 314 Day, and one group is already starting the celebration. Dozens of people came together for a prayer march around the Gateway Arch today. The event ended with all smiles as attendees posed for an official 314 Day photo. Now, we put together a full list of 314 Day events. For a link, all you have to do is text 314 to our number, 314-425-5355. We'll shoot it straight to your phone. Well, did you see the St. Louis Fire Department or the Red Cross on your block today? They're teaming up to help keep you safe. To mark the start of daylight saving time, firefighters went door to door to install free smoke alarms. It's all part of the Red Cross's National Sound the Alarm initiative. The fire department put in almost 1,000 alarms in city neighborhoods.
I often use a casino reference. If I told you that I could direct you to a game and you have over a 50% chance of winning, you'd probably play that game. But this is how you keep yourself and your family safe. So you increase your chance for survival by more than 50%.
The department has some more important reminders for you tonight. They say you should check your smoke alarm's batteries every month and replace the detectors every 10 years.
93 lost lives kept alive by one woman.
Then they got them ready to go to the other concentration camp.
A Holocaust survivor's lessons, leaving an impact on a new generation.
They'll always remember me.
Highs today were in the mid-60s. It was very pleasant outside with calm wind, but we're getting even warmer over the next few days. Why we may see a couple of our days the warmest of the year so far before a big change on the way.
Making a Difference is sponsored by Midwest Bank Center.
Welcome back at 10:14. In a world that sometimes seems determined to forget painful parts of the past, we meet a 93-year-old Holocaust survivor sharing her story to educate and inspire. In tonight's Making a Difference report, Mike Bush introduces us to a woman turning unimaginable loss into powerful lessons for the next generation.
It was a Sunday morning, and that was the day.
The St. Louis Kaplan Feldman Holocaust Museum doesn't just preserve history, it gives it a voice.
My father said to my mother, it's the beginning of doom.
Today, that voice belongs to 93-year-old Rachel Miller.
That was the day that Hitler and his Nazis invaded Warsaw, Poland.
For students from Macon Middle School, the 3-hour bus ride from rural Missouri was just the beginning of a journey that would take them decades into the past through the memories of a survivor.
It was important for us to get to learn this history and see what other people went through.
Rachel Miller was born in Paris in 1933 to Polish immigrants. Her childhood was filled with music and laughter.
Oh, my life was wonderful. Played with my friends. I went to school, and my sister we were in the same school, but she was, of course, in a higher grade. So she would walk me and take me home.
But war's shadow fell across her childhood when German forces entered Paris in 1940. Rachel was sent to live with a Catholic family in the French countryside for what she thought would be a summer away. Her beloved 15-year-old sister Sabine stayed behind in Paris, waiting for a promised birthday handbag from their aunt.
The day after her birthday was the day she was taken away, so she never got the handbag.
That decision meant the difference between life and death. Sabine was sent to the Auschwitz death camp, where she was murdered for simply being Jewish. And though Rachel didn't know it at the time, not a single member of her immediate family would survive the Nazis. Before meeting Rachel, the Macon students walked through the museum's powerful exhibits, where photographs, artifacts, and personal stories bring the enormity of the Holocaust into focus.
It's just really interesting to think about that really happened, and it's not just something that we're learning about, but a person that really experienced it.
And this is my oldest brother, adult.
In total, Rachel lost 93 relatives in the Holocaust.
Till the very last day, the Nazis took people and killed them.
After the war, at just 13 years old, she made her way to America, where she built a new life.
We're about 300 Americans.
And on this day, her resilience left an indelible mark.
I think she was so strong because she was hiding. She knew survival skills and other stuff like that.
You too, dear. Thank you.
As the students filed out, many would linger, wanting just a few more moments with this living link to history.
Thank you so much.
Perhaps what's most remarkable about Rachel Miller isn't just that she survived, but that she transforms her pain into purpose.
Some of them will tell their parents. Others will talk among themselves, but they'll always remember me. They stopped fighting. It was May 5th, 1945, thank God.
One woman reminding us that history isn't just dates in textbooks.
Please give Rachel a round of applause.
Sometimes it walks among us, teaching lessons we cannot afford to forget.
What an incredible story. Over the last 30 years, Rachel Miller has shared her story with more than 15,000 students across our region. All right, it is 10:18 tonight. Meteorologist Gary Frank joins us now with the weather impact forecast. Now, Gary, we're all smiles because warm weather's on the way, but you're keeping your eye out for possible storms later on this week, right?
Yeah, anytime we're on a Sunday and we're talking about Friday night weather impact alert day, it must be something significant. But like I said, we're going to focus on the good stuff first because it's a Sunday night. We try to do that here. 49, we got to 65 today. We got a west-southwest breeze that's lighter. And normally when it warms up this time of the year, it's ultra windy. And I'm not going to say it's not going to be windy down the road. But for the first 3 days this week, it's really not all that bad. Temps still holding right now around 50 degrees in the region. That's kind of a sign of how warm it is in the region. And I do think that we'll fall into the mid to upper 30s by sunrise, especially in the city. Outside of the city, you're probably going to fall just below freezing or around that. So just keep that in mind. And I think as you go throughout the next few days, expect 75, 74, and then 78. So we aren't going to see record highs, but it's in the top 25 or 30 of warm days to start March. So that's positive, right? We're going to continue to see warmer air. But my next focus, and probably obviously for the next minute and a half that we'll talk about, is this system that's in Alaska right now. And you'll see this spin right about here. That's what's going to be working its way toward us. Now, this is really far away, but that's what we're going to see work its way into the United States eventually. And we'll follow it along here. You'll see this piece of energy that dips down into the Pacific Northwest. Here's that dive, and watch this thing into Northern California. And as it crosses the Great Basin and eventually into the Central Plains, that's where our severe weather rises. Watch how this thing strengthens. This is a large-scale system. It brings, a pretty good wind-driven field, and it's also going to give it a lot of storm energy. This is a better chance than the last. They had that first minor severe threat that we talked about. This is a much better threat than this. And, a couple reasons, and we'll show you in a second. So when we're forecasting severe weather, we look at the pattern recognition, and that's kind of what I just showed you, right? It's starting to work its way in. And once we get to 1 or 2 days out, we'll be able to see the specifics, tornado, hail, wind. We're not there just yet. And from a timing perspective, this does look like Friday. And that's one of the things the Storm Prediction Center is looking at as well. And you'll see that here for our severe risk on Friday as we continue to look at that for most of our area under that risk for severe weather. And I do think that's going to be something that we look at as this very low pressure. And you remember the last one where we had that bottomed out, where we had the 980 plus pressure, where you started to feel those aches and pains and the wind was picking up? That's the similar setup. But this time, it's not 50 or 60. It's humid, and it's also in the 80s. And we're going to watch storms fire along this line. It's just, when does that arrive and where does that arrive, and do those ingredients come together the same way? 75, 74, 78, as per mentioned, nearly 80 degrees on Thursday, but then there's our next weather impact alert day. I think that's our first 80-degree day of the year. It's not 50, it's not 60. We'll see those storms arrive, and that's where I think we're going to watch out for. Anthony will have the latest on that weather impact alert in the morning.
It's time to go on the move. I'm Paul Cook, your traffic guy from Today in St. Louis. Hard to believe, but spring break season is already here. If you're planning a road trip with the kids, here are a few things to remember before hitting the road. Nick Chabaria says dead or disabled batteries are the #1 reason people call AAA for roadside assistance.
Your battery loses about 1/3 of its starting power when temperatures drop below freezing. So making sure you have your battery tested if it's more than 3 years old can ensure that you have enough power to get you where you want to go on your spring break road trip and back.
He also says coming out of winter is the perfect time to give your vehicle a good wash and pay extra attention to the undercarriage.
That can create hazards while you're driving, safety issues, but also fuel lines, brake lines. Those are all generally metal, and they can rust out and you can have leaks. And again, we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in repair costs.
It's not needed with every car wash, but best policy, make the undercarriage part of your spring cleaning and before your big road trips over the next few months. Safe travels. Paul Cook, 5 on your side.
All right, well, Paul's got us covered on the roads, but what about the skies? Travel troubles could be on the way. The potential move by the White House keeping some flyers on the ground. Welcome back at 10:25. Developing tonight, 5 people are in the hospital after surviving a fiery small plane crash in Pennsylvania. Take a look at this video. We're still working to learn their conditions this morning. Just shocking as you look at those flames. But we do know the crash happened this afternoon in this parking lot of a retirement community. Luckily, nobody on the ground was hurt, but dozens of cars were damaged in this crash. The FAA is already investigating this. News out of our nation's capital tonight. Secret Service agent shot a man near the White House. Now, the agency is saying this happened this morning after they were made aware of an armed man who was reportedly suicidal. We're told when agents approached this man's car, he showed his gun, and that's when they say they shot at him. The man was taken to the hospital, but we're still working to learn his condition right now. And tonight, the possibility of a travel ban issued by the White House is causing the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, to send out an alert. The group is warning any immigrants in the United States legally to not leave the country for the next month. CAIR is saying it's worried countries like Iraq, Iran, or Palestine could be included, and anyone traveling there could have a hard time getting back to the United States.
You have people who have lived in America for decades, contributing to our society, and they're afraid to get on a plane. That is not the way America should be. That's not the way anyone who is legally present here should have to live their lives, afraid to travel and visit their families because their government might try to stop them from coming home. That's just unacceptable.
Now, for anyone who could be impacted, CAIR recommends that you consult an immigration attorney. You keep copies of all of your important documents, and of course, you know your rights. Parade problems tonight. One town's world record for St. Patrick's Day, making another town green with envy. This story just after the break. At 10:29 tonight, you should know tomorrow marks 1 week until St. Patrick's Day. One town in Rhode Island is preparing what they call the shortest St. Patty's Day parade in the world. The Little Compton parade route is, get this, just 89 feet long. But another town in Arkansas claims the title too and even owns the copyright to the name. That parade, though, is listed at 98 feet long. Little Compton officials just say in the end, they hope everyone is out and just having a good holiday. Of course, this weekend, Saturday, they'll be painting the town green in downtown with the parade. Gary has a last look at our weather.
Yeah, I think you just said the time, too, just to remind us that it's not 9:29, right?
Yeah, that's right.
We're getting used to it here. Over the next few days, warm and dry to start our week, mid to upper 70s. Our first 80-degree day of the year is looking ahead Friday night, and that's where I think our next weather impact alert day is. That's, I think, where we're starting to see some of the signals to tell us that severe weather is possible. The impacts were still remaining to be seen, but it's starting to line up a little bit more. I know Anthony's going to have the latest on that. I'm optimistic that it will get better by the time St. Patrick's Day arrives. A little warmer then.
All right, you keep us prepared. Thanks for joining us for 5 on Your Side at 10. Sports Plus with Frank Cusmano is up next, and start your day with Today in St. Louis at 4 a.m. Have a great week.